Classic Traveller, 1981. Hello, Mr. Cat. 1981 Revised Edition, Book 1, Part 1, Characters. I'm sorry this video is a little bit late. It's been a busy weekend, and I'm still busy, so this is going to be quick. In the last video, we looked at the 1977 First Edition. The character generation, which is what we're going to talk about today, is basically the same in the Revised Edition, so I'm going to make this quick and get her over with. Sorry about that. Go back and watch the previous video for the details before you watch this one, if you haven't yet. And in the next video, we'll actually roll a character. And then we'll get on to the combat section in both the 1977 and 1981 editions. So, let's take a look at this. We have the introduction, basically the same as before, as far as I know. Characteristics are all the same, statistics are the same, all this stuff's basically the same as it is in First Edition. So yeah, I forgot to mention the Universal Personality Profile in the 77 edition. Basically, they take the 6 characteristics and they represent them with a hexadecimal digit 0 through F, with A through F being 10 through 15. And then they push them all together into one string of digits, and that's part of a very compact way to describe the character. You'll see the UPP, as they call it, in a lot of the supplemental books. Anyway, so one thing that they have done here in the Revised Edition is that they've expanded the table of noble titles over 77, which just had the one title, as I recall. All the rest of this is exactly the same. The aging is exactly the same. One thing, though, is in the survival role, I think, in Revised Edition. Oh, where the hell is it? Oh, hello, Mr. Beefy. How are you doing? Anyway, I know this is the case. At least I'm 95% sure this is the book that it was introduced in. This is the one where they introduced the optional rule of instead of having your character die during character creation if you fail the survival roll, to just have them injured and immediately force them to muster out and start play. I don't like that rule, as I said in the previous video. I won't rant about it here. You can go back and watch the other video to see why, if you want to. All the careers are the same. Let's see. A mistake that I made in the previous video. I didn't want to replace the whole video just to fix this, but when you have a health crisis, like when you get really old during character creation, if you survive that long, and one of your stats drops to 0, and you have a health crisis, that physical aging that happens when you recover is actually in months, not years, like I was talking about in the previous video. But to be fair, I've never actually had a character survive that long in character creation. The last one I rolled, his endurance score got down to 1. Before he was finally forced to retire. But he didn't actually have any health crises. Anyway, I digress. In the previous video, I made some mistakes about the death from aging. It only takes one stat reaching 0 to kill you during aging and character creation here, not 3 like I was. I don't know where the hell that came from. I'm stupid. The main difference in the character creation section, at least, between 77 and 81, are that some of these skills in the acquired skills table are different. For one thing, you don't get specific vehicle skills. They just say a vehicle, and you choose the specific vehicle when you roll that. So some of these skills are a little different. Some of the scout skills are a little different in here somewhere. I don't remember exactly what. You'll have to look at the other book or watch the previous video to check that out. It's not important. There's something a little different in the merchant skill list too, I think. And There might be something different in other as well, but I think the Navy, Marines, and Army are exactly the same according to my recollection. Anyway, it's not important. It's the same game. The differences aren't, at least in the character creation part of Revised Edition, aren't different enough to make any difference. The real differences between 77 and 81, in my opinion at least, I may be full of shit, but in my opinion, the real differences between 77 and 81 come in some of the later books. The implied setting of the game is different between 77 and 81. In 77, space is... there isn't this presumed, like, overarching governmental thing going on. It's kind of like anarchy in space. Whereas in the Revised Edition, that's when they start to do a little bit of the world building that turns into the Spinward Marches and stuff like that, which we'll look at in other videos. But that's neither here nor there. The weapons tables in Revised Edition include the weapon damage values, which I don't think they do in 77. The medical skill, I think there's a xenomedicine specialization, or maybe it's just talks about using the medical skill on aliens. That's a Revised Edition thing. I'm pretty sure that's not in 77. I think air raft and grav vehicle are the same thing under the vehicle skill, which wasn't the case in 77. Everything else is exactly the same. It's got basically the same character generation example. It does include a character sheet, unlike 77, and there's this handy flowchart that guides you through character creation. And then we get to the combat section, which we'll talk about later. So, short and sweet video. If you didn't watch the first one, you're missing out. That's it. Basically the same game. Very minor changes. They did add some stuff that was, in my opinion, missing from 77 in the combat section. But we'll look at that later. So, the final question of the video, do you need this book? My opinion on that is absolutely yes. The only reason that you may not need this book is if you are specifically only playing 1977 First Edition Classic Traveller. I think that the Revised Edition is in most ways superior to 77. So my personal opinion, which may be a shit take, a lot of my takes are, my personal opinion is, if you just want to play Traveller, you gotta have this book. If you're a collector, you gotta have this book. You gotta have, it's the book, right? So you should have it. Thank you for joining me, gentlemen, and I will see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, I could use your support, but not in the way that you think. The main way that you can help, if you want to, is to help me collect the rest of the books that I'm missing out of the Classic Traveller set. I'm looking for GDW stuff, I'm looking for Judges Guild stuff, I'm looking for any of the third-party stuff, anything for Classic Traveller. If you look down below in the video description or in the podcast notes, if you're listening to this as an audio podcast, you'll find a link to a web page that has a list of what I've collected and what I haven't. And if you've got some old Classic Traveller stuff sitting in a box somewhere that's doing you no good, that I don't have marked as already collected on my list, hit me up. You can figure out how to get a hold of me through that same web page. So thanks. I appreciate you watching. Have a great